What is up? How you doing? What's going on, baby? How you?
I'm good. How you
Oh
doing?
man, I'm all right. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time with you. One, test this setup to make sure this new equipment is looking all right. And two, I want to talk about homeschool, man. Like I want to really unpack how we started, how I didn't want to be a part of it. I want to talk about how ignorant I was back then. You feel like we're gonna do it for the rest of his educational career, or we're gonna stop, pause, like
Started from the bottom. Now we here.
ah, now we here.
Now we here.
So let's talk. What made you come to the decision years ago that you wanted to homeschool Levi?
Think I can honestly say we were both ignorant to it. Like I know you had your reservations when it came to this, and it was kind of taboo because growing up in our day and age, I can't believe I'm saying that. Um, you could like point a homeschool kid from a mile away. They were a little different. No judgment or saying that that was a bad thing, but they just the way they acclimated into a group of friends or socially was just a little different. And so I understood your reservation, your concerns, wholeheartedly. And I think that's where I can say we had ignorance on both our ends because then my reasoning behind it initially, wasn't pure. It was, oh, it's just for his education so we can have control over what he's learning. When really, I was just a scared mom. I was just afraid, you know, for him
Yeah,
to be at the school with all of the craziness happening in the world. And, you just want to keep things that are sacred to you in a bubble. And that's not setting anyone up for success or for real world acclimation or anything like that. So you gave me a homework assignment and you didn't necessarily dictate and say, you know, prove to me why, like state your case. But essentially it was show me how he can be social. Why are I got your back as long as you have a real game plan and you're not doing this strictly out of fear. And that's when I had to reorganize or, change the pathway in which I was thinking to say, all right, if I really am going to do this, let's see how this is beneficial to the kid and not to my feelings. And so really researching and seeing this is pretty popular. This is super common now. Um, and looking up, figuring out homeschool children can play for the same schools that are up the street in the same school districts. They can play on the sports teams. Um, I realized once we started with preschool with him, that was kind of the test run. Let's start at preschool age instead of sending him to preschool. Let's do homeschool preschool. And it was like almost refreshing to see how many school age kids were out and doing things with their parents during school hours. And hey, shouldn't you hear people, shouldn't you be in school? Oh, I'm homeschooled, I'm homeschooled, I'm homeschooled. I'm hearing it everywhere. I'm like, this is a thing. I think I can do this. And of course, having that self doubt. Am I smart enough? Am I going to be able to teach him? You know, but having you as a partner and having you on board definitely set us up for success. I would say that was the biggest thing is making sure we were both on the same page. Even if you didn't understand it, you agreed with the reasoning behind why we should do it. And I just think starting from preschool, everything that I'm seeing that he's learning, it's just not being, bragging on myself or bragging on you, but like it's a testament to our success because he, can read and do certain things that I'm not gonna say children his age can't do, but there are things at home that we can definitely ground him in certain areas. I don't think, in public school we could discipline him with the word of God, or we could treat, certain situations by saying, this is how you deal with these things, pray about certain things, or even self defense. Like, nobody's gonna slap box There's no teacher gonna slap box with Levi in school. Um, get him prepared for things in the world, investments and taking care of your body. You're reading the back of a nutrition label. He's learning those things. Yeah, he can learn that at home while still going to public school. But I think just with our lifestyle in general, it's just been successful. And I think that this is something I want to continue to do until I hear him out and he says differently and we have a conversation about it, or until he'll need like someone who clearly is more qualified if he gets to a certain point where I can't help him with the work. And then that kind of lays the path and the foundation for Callie to follow right behind with the preschool stuff she'll be doing this year. Let's see, how did you feel? And how do you feel?
For one, I cannot wait until Cali Girl and you are in school together. I can't wait to see that dynamic because I know it's going to be amazing, but it is going to be a movie. You hear me? I cannot wait. The way she talks to us now and how we want to body slam her every second of the day. I can only imagine how it's going to be when she has to do actual schoolwork.
Because she's so
And
smart
you
and she's
are,
right. She's always
yeah,
right.
she's always correct because she's smarter than us, especially she's very much smarter than me. God really showed us this path when you brought it to the table. I met it with a lot of hesitation. I met it with a lot of flesh. My firstborn, my junior on my fourth, is not going to be a homeschool kid. He's not going to be isolated. I want him to be integrated into the world. I want to give him to the world because I trust God enough to give him to the world. Or I don't want him to be recluse. I don't want him to grow up and miss out and think that he missed out on life because mommy and daddy was so scared to let him go into the world. Those thoughts were valid then, but they weren't of they were all flesh. They were all me.
Mm.
They were all my fears and my angst, my worry for him. And I did think for a minute that you were really just trying to keep him in a bubble. I mean, for a little while, and not wanting to give him to the world because you were scared of what happened to him. I mean, we are going through life, especially 8 years ago, man. We were going through a lot back then. You know what I mean, with the George Floyd thing,
School shootings.
senseless, these things that were happening back then that I was scared too. I was fearful too, but I was more fearful of keeping him than letting him fly. Because I felt like we were doing him a disservice by keeping him. But that being said, when I started to really educate myself on what homeschool was really about, it blew me away with all the possibility, the freedom, the the leniency that we have with them, the ability to teach him certain things in school and give him the knowledge and the tools that, for one, I never grew up with outside of my father. Definitely not in school. So to be able to have him go through emotional understanding to articulate his feelings correctly. I mean, that was a big one. That's still a big one for him. And to understand how to navigate different conversations when he's talking to an adult opposed to when he's talking to a kid. I think it was one of the best decisions we've ever did. Um, we are blessed to be able to live the type of lifestyle that granted us the option. You know what I mean? Just to be in a
Yeah.
position to say that, oh man, we can make a choice. I had to look at it in that regard as well. And I like it, man. I love the fact that we're able to show our child that there is a way of learning and educating themselves in a way that doesn't have to be the cookie cutter way of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that, I'm not saying everything in public school or everything in private school is cookie cutter, and
Right.
I'm not saying it like that at all, but I'm saying that That's how I grew up. That's how my brother grew up. That's how all my
Mhm.
friends grew up. And that was
Mhm.
cool back then because that's all we knew. My mother and my father didn't know homeschool or private school. They didn't. They went to work and they left us on the corner so we can catch the bus. To be in this position to where we can say, hey, babe, let's talk about homeschool. And after I don't know, I don't know how hard I made it for you, like 2 months. I try to make it as hard as possible for you to change your mind. But God is great, man, and He ultimately made the decision for us because
Yeah,
I think this was like one of our first tests as husband and wife, man. Like
I think
really,
so too. Yeah.
I think it really allowed us to look at each other to know that all right, this is one of the biggest tests that we're going to make in our young marriage, and we're going to do this together, the partnership, and it's been working so far. So I
Yeah,
love it.
I agree with the test because I think that was the first time one of us wasn't willing to budge. Like,
Yeah,
we're always willing to work, even if it's just like a little bit. Like, I see what you're saying. Ugh, I still don't
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
I think that was the first time, like, one of us, meaning me, stood firm and was like, it's happening. I don't know how we can prepare for this, but like, that's how I knew it wasn't me. I felt like it started off as me because of the reasonings I was putting in my head as to why I wanted to do it. But in all, like you said, the confirmation that I had been getting and just actually listening to what God was saying to me, it was just like, he does not belong. And in hearing that he doesn't belong in public school made me more fearful as to like, what am I avoiding? What's going to happen? Like, would it be the day that I sent him to school? And so then that triggered some things mentally for me as to why I wanted him to be homeschooled when I should have just, the why didn't matter when God said he's going to be homeschooled. This is where children learn prejudice. This is where this is the part of their lives where they learn to be racist. They learn to be selfish. They learn these, negative traits, but they also can learn the positive ones too. How to love everyone, how to be empathetic, how to be sympathetic, how to read a room, how to understand, you know, how to give someone space, how to comfort someone, but also set expectations with them. How to set boundaries, how to be your own person and know when you get out in society and their peers doing things you don't necessarily agree with, how you can still be cool with them and not do the things they do. Not being impressionable and knowing that in your core it's all God. So when you walk out and you step out of this school, aka home, once you cross that threshold out of the door, I'm good
yeah,
because of the foundation and because of the sponge and the seed that my parents and God planted in order to put me out into the world. And I think looking at it from that lens is what made it more successful. It wasn't keeping him in and then putting him out there unprepared. It's preparing him in so that once, that outward happens, he's going to touch lives. He already
absolutely.
does.
Yeah,
And same for Callie. Like, they are going to touch lives. And this is just the most important part of life where if you have that time to be able to spend with them, what is it? The days are long, but the years fly by. Yeah, there's some
yeah,
long days. There are days with, you working 40 plus hours outside the home, me working 40 plus in the home and homeschooling them. And, I might complain. You might say, oh, and go get some Starbucks, go have your time and be free for a little bit. I need those moments, but it's not necessarily I need to be away from my family. I just need to, as you say, fill my cup back up so that way I can be on my P's and Q's when it's time for the next school day. And I don't regret it. I don't think it's a burden or too much because, like, God set everything up so perfectly. Who's been able to work from home almost a decade? before COVID. You know what I mean? Full time with the kiddos, and then you come in and you do your thing. Hey, I'm doing the reading, writing, arithmetic. You need to teach him to tie his shoes, to do PE outside and learn how to count the money, all the things that are extra but important. And so having you in that involvement, it's not just me and the kids. You come in and you take that load off and you just like, I got the rest from here, and I think that balance has always worked in our lives. And because it's been so easy, you know what I mean by easy, because it's not an easy thing to do, but because things have been aligned so perfectly, it's only more confirmation every day that we're doing what we're supposed to do. If it was forced, we could feel it. Just like when we eloped, it was just so seamless. It's like God laid the path out. Like, here you go, meet this girl on the Battery, put a ring on her finger. Y'all married. Like, I wanted this to happen, so it happened, with no hiccup. And I feel like it's the same thing in our lives at home. It's just like, I'm going to put you in this house that I want to put you in this area. And, you're going to set up homeschool. It works well. He's teaching his sister as a residual of what we're learning him, and he's taking his annual test to even confirm more.
Yeah.
Oh, he's 2 grades past where he's supposed to be. Those things, we need that continued confirmation. Even when you have trust in God, sometimes you need that continued confirmation that, like, all right, I was just making sure we still on the right. This is what I'm supposed to do, right? Because we're human. We have those days. Like, what did I do?
100%. I know I do.
And then hearing the confirmation from the kids make it all worthwhile as well. It's
Yeah.
not like we put him through something he didn't want to do, or he's sitting outside looking at school buses like, oh, I wish. Sometimes he'll just sit there. I'm like, what's on your mind, buddy? He's like, I just love my family. I love that I can be home with you guys and learn and like just do things. Like, if Daddy comes home today and say, let's go to the beach, you don't have to call my principal. And like, I think he thinks he knows the way things work, but he's just like, we can do what we want. And I'm like, having that freedom early, there's sacrifices to be made for our lives to be, definitely where we want it to be. But just for his acknowledgement at the age of 8 to say, I've got, this is great. I'm like, oh, I'll do this for 10 more years. I got it. I can do it. It's cool.
Like, I had somebody come up to me last week and talked about a video that him and I did during COVID, where he had that little exercise bike and he was beside me when we first got our bike. And he said, yo, man, I still think about that video to this day. It was the most powerful video of how a father and a son is trying to live life healthy and putting your life and your journey on your baby. He didn't know how old he was. You know what I'm saying? I think he was like 2 years old at the time. Just us having fun and capturing it, not for content, not for likes or anything, but just like
Yeah.
enjoying the process of being able to instill what we're going through from a personal standpoint on our children. And I think it's amazing. I mean, I love the fact that Levi now is in our Be Great Guys business as the content creator, as a content producer, and how he's learning how to edit and all the back end things of the business. I mean, just for him wanting to have that thirst for knowledge and have the time to lay it all out for him and show you how to capture different angles so you can see how dynamic a video can be, or how Callie Girl, and how when we was at the beach, you had Callie Girl start to articulate how she wanted to be in the video. I thought that was dope. We always talk about this unorthodox life that we have, man, but now it's not even unorthodox anymore. It's like normal. Yes, it could be different from others, but I mean, it's just how we operate. It's just how the squad operates. Everybody's used to it now. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. We definitely don't know what's gonna happen in 10 years. Well, not 10 years. I mean, when he be in high school? What, 4 years? 5 years? I'm the PE teacher. Hold on.
When
What? He's in third
when
grade
he's
now.
15, he'll be in high school.
He be in high school in 15.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, yeah. So what's that? 7 years? In 7 years. There you go. So 7 years. We'll see what that looks like with high school. We will adjust and adapt there. But if it's still going the way it's going, I mean, there's such a big community of homeschool
Mhm.
kids, man. We don't, before I thought that, oh man, he's gonna miss prom. He's gonna miss playing sports. He's gonna miss his first girlfriend. He's gonna miss his first crush. He's gonna miss all these things because he's just home with us. But as long as we adhere to the responsibility that we invested in, because homeschool is a huge investment of time,
Mhm.
and we just can't say, okay, we want to put him in homeschool and just push him through the years and not give him that experience and not give him that outlet. So it's up to us to find different homeschool families or different homeschool programs to give him that access, to allow him to be
Mhm.
able to play sports if he want to allow him to go on field trips, to meet friends and be around different friends and go to parties and have that experience. Have the car. I would take the minivan. Like you have been wanting to get rid of this minivan for a minute. I would take the
No, that
minivan.
look is when you said football, Dad. That was that look.
No, I mean he's not gonna play football. I mean if he wants to, I know you don't want him to, but I don't
Mhm.
mind him playing flag
Mhm.
football. I mean I know you know I know
Mhm.
this. You don't want him to play
Mhm.
football, but
Another
for
topic. Uh-huh.
any sport, Dad, I'm excited for leaving this conversation and going and playing with y'all for the rest of the night, man. I know I'm very excited for the rest of our life, but the joy and the key of true happiness is to be excited in the moment because the moment is where
Yeah.
you build the memory and we can continue to evolve, learn. Oh man, we didn't really like this homeschool group too much. It was cool, he learned, but let's try this one. Make this investment. I mean, because just like time, man, it's financial investment too. I mean, homeschool is not a free or a cheap way out. It's definitely not that at all, especially when you want your children to thrive. It's definitely not cheap. So to make the investment the right way, and all we can do is hope he excels. Just like we put him through private school or public school. You give them to
Yeah.
a teacher in hopes that the teacher has enough in him or her to instill knowledge in that particular child times however many in that classroom. What we're doing, we're just trying to take all of our knowledge and what we stay up trying to read and learn to instill into our children. I love it. What would you let me say that better. What's one thing that you would do over?
We just organize the schedule a little bit better as far as the things outside of home. I do know there's so many activities that others are doing and invite us to, the bowling on the first Fridays of the month and taking them to the science center. And there are field trips that we do, but they're not nearly as robust and as, interactive. And I think that's something that even though I may regret not doing it, I still have the time to change it now. It's more so a learning lesson and an opportunity to say, all right, this year, let's see what's going on already and get some dates. And once a month or twice a quarter or something like that, I already know when and when making it a priority if it's after the hours of work and school to say, hey, babe, on, Friday the 17th, 7 o'clock, I need you to be available to take him to X. Um, Instead of Saturday morning saying, dang, that thing was yesterday. And we didn't even do anything but have family night and watch movies. So making it a priority to, just like we take Callie to speech therapy every so and so at so and so time, regardless of how far it is, it's important. And so is his education, so is his social life. And so just making sure that those are things that I commit to. and understand that I have the help I need. Callie can go with us. There's really no excuse
Yeah, most definitely.
with, the work-life balance that we have as to not doing certain things. So that is something that I'm going to commit to because I do regret not doing it as much.
First of all, I think you're doing everything right. I say that because I feel like I like baited my own self into the question. So I have to say you're doing everything right because you are doing everything right. Being more social and putting ourselves out there more, I think is something that we have a beautiful opportunity to do moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I think that's the selfishness that I need to get over. Because when you get older, you're like, I don't want to meet any, I don't
yeah,
want
I
friends.
feel you.
I'm good.
I feel you.
Yeah, well, we're opposite in that
We're
regard.
complete.
But
That's why
just
I
some,
was trying to
yeah.
let you have your
When
be
you
on
said
your.
I feel you, I know your I feel you means I don't agree. So
I
with
can meet
that
anybody.
said,
It don't
sometimes
matter.
it's just like, oh, I don't feel like talking to these moms.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, where'd your kid go to school? What are y'all? I was like, I just don't. So I don't want to take him. And that's not fair to him. And that's just me being transparent and honest and saying, you might meet somebody dope. Your kid is gonna find somebody to play with. You're gonna play date. Get out there and stop being yourself.